to start off, I don't say are because I'm not a pirate. I say or. Now, we've been trying to count how many ors there are in strawberry over the last week on LinkedIn, and people have been getting grumpy about it. But there's been a few other things like large language models can't add two numbers together, and large language models can't count how many words are in a sentence. Now, I've been an advocate for function calling for a while because it melds the idea of using human intelligence and AI combined. Now, to do so, I also love agents. So here's one that I created. So here I've created a main fire entity is what I called it. And now it's just had a child. And I'm going to call the child Bob. Okay. Now, Bob will add two numbers together. Okay. It doesn't matter how I write this really, just a little bit of a description. Add two numbers, and that's Bob there. Okay. Next, we will create another child entity. And we will call this one Karen. Why not? Karen. And Karen counts words in a sentence. Okay. And finally, let's go with Alice. Okay. Alice counts the times a letter occurs in a word. Okay. Now, what's going to happen here is that when I have a chat, so I can actually talk to it, but because I'm using the microphone here, I have to create another text area for writing text in. So let's start off with an easy one. What is 22 and 14? Okay. Submit text. And what it's going to do is it's going to ask Bob, who has a function call, to be able to do addition in Python and then give you the result back. So now we're not reliant on the large language models to carry out the actual specific function. And anyway, we'll move on. So let's ask how many words are in this sentence? And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we should be getting 7, and that should be Karen, I think. Oh, there we go. Karen has answered that there are 7 words in the sentence. Okay. I think there's another one where like you answer or ask how many words are in your response, but it's the same thing. Like as in just pass it into another function call before outputting, and whatever. Last one here, which was how many, and the most important one, how many times does R appear in strawberry? Okay. Which by now you should know it's going to get it correct. And it comes up 3 times. Now I do this by, as I said earlier, function calling. So I created this whole project here in the last week. I've been a bit sick, so I haven't actually focused too much on doing things, but this one is I don't know if you guys actually want it up on GitHub, which I'll put it up on GitHub and link it, but and you can use it and do whatever you want with it. But the idea is that because I know people are complaining about pirating or giving malicious software right now, and I have no time or care to try and take your stuff, but here's my one. So as you can see here, I have 2 function calls. I just registered them. I put them in the functions folder, and I created another Python script called language.py. And if I go over to, say, math addition, I just called it math addition. It doesn't really matter what the actual name is. It was for me to break it up. And I had another, function manager, register the function math, and it adds 2 numbers together, and there you go. So in the description that I give it here, what happens is that the main fire entity reads the description and goes, hey, I think that you will be able to answer this. So then it just passes that information off to that entity. That entity then returns it to the main fire entity, and then you get the output as the user. I had a whole chat thing going with it earlier, and the idea would be that you would have like a sequence of events. The sequence of events thing, for example, would be like in the Google issue they had this week, where they had a guy on the phone. He looked at a concert and said, "Hey, based on this picture here, what can if I have time in my calendar, book that time. If I have time free in my calendar, book that time for me." So in my version, you would just read an image, then you would move on to booking a calendar event, 2 different function calls, so there wouldn't be any issues in that regard. All the large language model would have to do is figure out the sequence of events. So I should have set this up so that I can work in sequences, and I might do that later. But vision is quite easy. Just use Sonnet 3.5, which is fantastic. This is using GPT-4o Mini, so it's really small and cheap, and can run quite well. And by function calling itself, Anthropic has fantastic tools, but I do find that if you get up to like 5, 6, or maybe even 10 function calls, it starts getting a bit wonky and forgetting what it's supposed to be doing. So by breaking it up into different sections like this, each Fire entity could have, like, say, 2 or 3 function calls that it could theoretically do, and it could run all 3 of them, or it could run in any individual one of them and then give you your output. So then you can create thousands of different function calls, or thousands of different entities, each with a good description of what they are, which is normally how the function calls work, but it's usually looking through a whole list of all of them. Well, now I'm dividing that by 3 because I have 3 Fire entity or child entities, or 20 different child entities, and it's just making it a bit more clear for the main agent to figure out what it should be doing. Now, of course, there could be a lot more things done with this. I actually wanted to make an animation where it would go over to it, collect its information, and come back and go, boom, here I am. But I want to move on to other fun things, and I just wanted to end the conversation about large language models not understanding how many letters are in the word strawberry, but large language models work on tokenism, or tokens, so it's not really counting the letters. Smarter people than me have tried to explain it to me. That's how I understand it, and it makes sense. I think of it like a vocoder inside of a radio. It's just cutting it up into pieces and going, that makes these letters together make this kind of sound or this kind of meaning, and so on. So thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye.